For the longest time, I've been absolutely and totally fascinated with RPG games and RPG game design. However, every time I try to create one, or every time I try to even think about creating one, the programming quickly gets complicated. So, what I want to do is I want to kind of think through the different aspects of RPG game design with you guys so that I can learn how to make one. Learn the ins and outs of the RPG, what goes into making an RPG on a low level. So, I originally was going to try to remake, I was playing a game called Wizardry, and I was thinking about, okay, I'm going to take Wizardry and I'm going to make the menu system for Wizardry. Like, you know, the town where you have the inn, you have the outside the town where you can create the players, you have the shops, there's a few other things, the bar, the tavern, I mean, there's a few things you could do in there. But even when I started making that, it started kind of getting complicated. The code kind of started getting long. You can see it on my GitHub. It'll be in the description, by the way. So I'm gonna take a step back from that project, and I got kind of confused. I didn't really have any direction. I was just coding up all the classes and trying to connect them together, but I still didn't feel like I was doing it right. So what I want to do now is I want to break it down even smaller into certain aspects. So instead of doing wizardry, I'm going to take something that many RPGs have, and that is NPCs. So I want to make a system where you can approach NPCs in a game and talk to them. That's it. Maybe in the future I'll expand it to having some NPCs that you could buy things from NPCs that give things to you, other types of stuff. But right now, it's just going to be a map with NPCs. So what is an NPC? Let's go write NPC. What is an NPC? Non-playable character in many games since the beginning of RPG gaming. What are they going to have? Because it's simple, I think I'm just going to have the name, and I'm just going to have their dialogue box. So I'm just going to have what should I call this? Speech. So yeah, I think that's what I'll do. So these are going to be I'm going to turn this into a class now, because I really just want to have the name and what they say. So class, string name, string speech, and then we're going to have methods, string speak. This just returns their speech. So this is the NPC class. Alright, I think that should be a good idea. As for the user experience of the game, what I really want to have is I want to have a just a grid, make it maybe 5 by 5 to keep it simple, right? And then maybe I'll have the player, which I'll put P, and for the NPCs, we'll just have a person here, and a person here, and what I think I want to have is I want to have like a 2D array that holds the objects. So 2D array to hold the objects, and then and if there's one there, you could just put speak. I'm probably going to have it be we might need a boolean for status. This bool is alive. Nah. Yeah, I'll just have it for here because I'm going to be doing this in a few languages, so you might actually need to figure that out. And you should be able to use this player to walk on each grid space, and then when you land on top of an NPC, give the player the option to show the dialogue. And then if they do show the dialogue, if you do select yes, show dialogue, and go no, ignore. That's it. That's all I'm going to have. I could have these people walk around, but it might add a bit of a difficulty to the game. We'll see. It's just going to be a grid. They're not going to be like people that can really move around that much. But yeah, this is the idea. I'm going to switch over to the computer and show you the program when it's done. Program's done, I want to explain what it does. So here we have the NPC type, like we said. These are just some variables just so we can keep track of some things. This T now lets you know if you can talk at that point. The size just helps the graphics library show how big to draw everything. The PX and the PY keeps track of where the player is on screen. The map is the 5x5 map we said. And these are the commands we use to actually instantiate the NPCs. Because BASIC is an object-oriented, yeah, this is BASIC, by the way. I'll have a text version of a port in, I think C probably, or maybe C++. We'll see. We'll have a text port in the modern language in the description. But this lets you, this just instantiates it. This makes the map of the types. This sets the type, so it sets it that there's a live. It sets the name. It sets the speech. Have you played Atari today? I hate games. So yeah, these are just what the NPCs say. This is the game loop. So the first thing it does is it draws the screen. The second thing it does is it checks the if there's an NPC in the location. The third thing it does is it sleeps and waits for input. And what this does, this checks the player movement. It could be done better. I was gonna do something with this, but I kind of forgot what I was doing. So that's just useless code right now. Yeah. So this just this controls player movement. Go up, go down, left, right. For when you press D, when you press A. Then we have press T. When you press T, it runs this this function called talk, and talk is what actually renders the speech. And then it waits until you press T again to quit the talking icon. So that's the talk command. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. Basic is a little funky. We have print there just so it puts like a line. We have these this just prints the name. This does the formatting. This like types it out as if it's like a typewriter or like a ticker tape. Just to make it theatrical, I guess. This check tile checks if there's an NPC there. So this checks if the player is in bounds, because we don't really check that anywhere else. This actually checks on the map, because if the player is out of bounds and you check the map first, when the player is out of bounds, it's going to be a out of bounds error, and the game's going to crash. So we check if it's in bounds, then we check if it's on the map, and if we have a living NPC in that location, or an NPC in that location, then we run the pop-up function. And the pop-up is a little message that says press T to talk. And it's just in the corner of the screen. It only shows up when you're on top of an NPC. And it sets the variable to T now. So if you press T now and you go back to talk, then it runs a talk function. If you press T and then the other time in the game, it doesn't do anything. So the draw map, and this is kind of a longer function, but what it does is it runs through all 25 spots on the map. And if the player's there, it renders the player as a green square. If there's an NPC there, it renders it as a non-green square. I don't remember what that color is. And if there's nothing there, it just renders it as a empty square with black in the middle. And this is a function I was going to have in the beginning, but I ended up not using it. But yeah, that's the game. Let's see how it works. Let's see how it runs, I mean. Alright, so we're in the game. As we can see, we have the player here. I never really check for outside of bounds, unless I'm other than that, we don't really stop the player from going anywhere. So, but we can actually walk on top of the squares. So if I walk on top of this one in the middle, boom, press T to talk. If I press T, have you played Atari today? Press T again, back to the map. Press T, hate games. See? So, we did it. We accomplished what I set out to accomplish. I think this is a big win. Yeah, this is pretty much exactly what I wanted to happen. Have you noticed in this game, it clears the whole screen before it prints out something? Maybe I'll fix it so that it's like a block of like, it's like a graphical thing. That might work a little better. Another element that could be better is you have to walk on top of the NPC to make it talk, which in some games is okay, but in others it's not. I know some games like Pokemon and other big name games, you have to stand in front of them and then press like a talk button while you're facing them, and that sometimes works. In other games, you can just walk into them. I know in a game like Ys or Final Fantasy or Ys 1 and 2 specifically, and in what's the game? Final Fantasy Adventure Seiken Densetsu, if you walk into them, they just start talking, which is a little annoying sometimes. And another thing about NPCs, sometimes they walk around, sometimes they'll be walking around in random directions, sometimes they have places where they go, like in Shenmue, and other stuff like that. So this can go a number of different ways. And it really depends on what the game application is. Ys is an arcade game, basically. It has an arcade like combat style, and you're like running into stuff, crashing into the enemies. So it only makes sense that you'd use that same piece of code you used to fight the enemies to initiate dialogue with an NPC. For better or for worse. I like the combat. I don't like the NPC stuff. Is a little weird though. In some games, the NPCs are inside houses, and you can't even talk to them unless you go inside the house. And when you go inside the house, it's basically a cutscene, which is interesting too. That's interesting too. So there's a lot of different ways to handle this. I'm probably just gonna leave this as is for now. I actually no. I want to have it so I can like at least walk into them while they're standing still, like in Ys. It's only annoying because they walk around and kind of block you, and you gotta be playing like gotta try to fake them out when you're going through the town. It's like, you don't want to do that. But yeah, no more rambling. That's the NPC demo. The code's in the description. Thanks for watching. You guys have a good night.